Do you have gorgeous 12 by 12 pattern paper that you want to use for cards but don't want to waste it? Hi, I'm Jess from JessCrafts.com and I'm here to help you make the most of your crafty supplies and time. So let's get making. Today I want to use a piece of paper that I think is really cute and I don't want to waste any of it. Like, I want to use every inch of it. And my paper busting templates help me do that. However, often it isn't in, like, it uses up the entire sheet of paper, but some of them I either want to use like the back for a contrast, or it will cut them really small. And I really want to just like let this paper here be the focal point. And I'm going to show you how I adapt my sketch to make that work. Okay, so I'm using 12 by 12 paper busting template number 45 for A2 cards. This is available in the Etsy shop. However, I will be super clear with the measurements so that you can recreate this project even if you don't choose to purchase the templates. So I have this woodland Christmas paper from Paper Rose. It's paper letter E in the collection. And I did get it as part of a pack. It does have on the back, it's double-sided, so it has this other paper that I could certainly use, but I want to use as much of the front as possible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a different piece of paper from the Michael's Recollections Christmas pad that I bought in 2025, because they change a little bit year to year, but that's when this is from. And I'm going to mix these two. And the way that I'm going to do that is this particular sketch. The focal point is 4 by 3 inches. So 4 inches long, 3 inches tall. The rest of the material that you need, like the rest of the paper that you need for the same cards, also comes to 4 by 3 inches. So they're 2 by 1.5, but there's 4 of them. And so if you were to condense that, it's the same. And so therefore I can cut the 2 by 1.5 inches perfectly, all of the ones that I need out of one piece of paper and all the 4 by 3s out of the other piece of paper. So I'm going to cut this whole sheet. There'll be this, if you follow the sketch exactly and you use one sheet of paper, it absolutely works, but it will make 6 cards. However, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut half of what I need out of this paper and the other half out of this green paper. And so therefore I'm going to make 12 cards. I'm going to make double the cards, and I'm going to cut all of them one way and all the other. So when using tools like paper trimmers, please follow all manufacturer's safety instructions. I'm going to cut the branding strip off the bottom here. Sometimes it's actually easier to do on a like darker side. The front side has kind of a whitish background, and I want to really get a good cut there. So this, I don't normally consider it a scrap because not all pattern paper has this. However, I would take something like this and use it on the inside of cards or for extra embellishment on a card. Okay, so then I am going to make these cards in the landscape orientation. So I am going to cut a 4-inch across by 12-inch strip, like so, and then do that again. 4 inches by 12 inches, and then each of these I am going to cut down to 3 inches. I did kind of consider, like, am I going to get enough of a cute critter on each of these? So here you're going to see like the whole fox and only little parts of the other ones, and I'm okay with that. And then I don't know if this is going to work out perfectly for all of them. Here at the top, I know it's going to be kind of close. You're only going to see kind of most of this bear, and this ribbon here is going to be in the center. But it did look like, because I kind of thought about it ahead of time, that I was going to get most of a critter at least on each of these. And it looks like I have a little extra trim off down there. Okay. And so again, cutting these down to 3 inches. So I'm just measuring 3 inches away from the edge. So 12 to 9 to 6 to 3. And I'll keep going till I have all of these 4 by 3 inch pieces out of that one piece of 12 by 12 paper. And then this piece of paper, which is single-sided, I'm just going to cut these 1.5 by 2 inch pieces out of. So this is non-directional, so it doesn't particularly matter which way I do it, but I'll cut like a 2 inch strip, hoping I'm doing I did that wrong. That's okay, I can make it work. It's not really wrong, it's just that I'm gonna take the 1.5 inches off of this side. It's just a little bit perhaps different than I'm showing it in the sketch. Like this is 1.5 tall by 12 inches wide, which is not exactly what I cut here, but as long as the measurements are coming out the same, that's the key. All the little rectangles, 2 by 1.5, all the large rectangles, 4 by 3. And so I'll keep cutting until I have so there's 12 cards. Each card has 4 rectangles on it. And therefore, I'm going to have 48 little rectangles by the end, and you don't want to watch me cut 48 little rectangles, but I just wanted to take the time to be really clear about those measurements. So when I have all the pieces that I need, we can look at finishing off the card. In addition to cutting all of the patterned paper, I also call for mats on this sketch. They're always a 1/4 inch bigger. So my 4 by 3 inch piece will get a 4 1/4 by 3 1/4 inch mat. And my 2 by 1.5 inch pieces will get a 2 1/4 by 1 3/4 inch mat. I'm actually not going to put mats on the smaller pieces today, but I did want to say those measurements out loud in case you don't have the sketch and you wanted to write them down to complete your cards. I am actually just going to put the mat around this centerpiece here, and that is mostly because this piece of paper that I'm using for the little rectangles in the corner is so solid. I don't think it needs that addition, and for whatever reason, I just use a lot of red cardstock and I find it hard to like buy in bulk. So I don't want to use too much of it in a card that, or in a way that just doesn't feel as needed. So I'm going to cut my cardstock. I'm starting with a full sheet of 8.5 by 11, and I'll talk a little bit more about specifically why I'm choosing to do that. And I'm going to cut it to 3 1/4 by 8.5. So 3 1/4, 8.5. I cut that in half, and that's going to be 4 1/4. So there's no scraps left at this point, and then I'm going to be able to like keep going with that and cut it again to 3 1/4, again to 3 1/4, and then this will be the only scrap left at all, and I think that I'll probably still be able to use that on a future card, but I just wanted to use cardstock pretty efficiently, so that's how I'll get my mats. So continuing on the idea of being efficient with my red cardstock, I am going to cut some banner sentiments out of the center of each of my 4 1/4 by 3 1/4 inch pieces. I'm going to cut 2, even though I'm only going to use 1 banner on each card, and that's just so that I'm kind of maximizing it a little bit. I have 2 different banner dies, and so even though I won't use all of those on this card, I will have those for future cards. And then I am going to stamp this Seasons Greetings sentiment from Sunny Studio in some Noble Fur ink from Fawn to pull the green back in. I did test it on my card mat because I figured, well, you know, I'm not going to see that anyway. So rather than getting a piece of scrap paper. And then also the fact that I have some extras does mean that, say I do mess up the stamping on a few of these, I will be able to restamp it. I am going to, on these longer ones, put it to the left so that I can kind of like overhang it. You'll see in the finished cards like that if I want. But then here on the smaller ones, the Seasons Greetings does not fit, or sorry, is like just about the size of the banner. I'm actually a little concerned, I haven't tested it yet, that it might feel too small, and I think I just stamped that crooked. Gonna be a good thing we have extras, that's why I do it. Yeah, that's pretty crooked. And as you can see, it's very tight to the banner. I don't necessarily mind that. I think I would still use them, but you know, maybe it would be better if I stamped it straight. So I will put that on the card, so I'll prepare those as well. And then this stamp set, the reason I'm choosing to use the sentiment is because it also includes a lot of, it's called the actually Inside Greetings holidays, and I like that because then I can also just finish off the inside of my cards with the same stamp set, and that way I can have my cards really quickly prepared. This is a very fast card making process. And you know, in some ways the cards might feel like quite simple, but you know, the pattern paper is really, really cute. Anybody who saw that, like, if that pattern paper was wrapping paper, they would think it's adorable. So I try not to overthink it and think that my handmade cards need to be really, really elaborate. In terms of other choices for the inside of your cards, I do have free jokes at jesscrafts.com that you can use to put inside your cards. And if you're making extra cards because you have a lot of pattern paper that you really just enjoy using, I do have resources on my website for where you can donate your handmade cards. Let's finish off one of the 12 cards that we will make by combining a kind of like fancier, more for me, like it's the pattern paper I like a little better, with my less expensive paper from a large paper pad. I think this is a great way to stretch supplies. I'm going to put this green paper in the corners, and I am going to put it right up against each corner as is shown in the sketch. I didn't put mats, but I still like this placement. You could pull them off the corners a little bit if you prefer. You could of course add the mats. And then we have the mat for this larger 4x3 focal point, which I did cut a lot of banners out of. I have like a bag of additional banner sentiments to use, or I didn't put any sentiments on them yet, just bannered pieces for future cards, and was able to make all the banners that I needed for today's card. And then there we have, I think that's a squirrel featured there in the center. And squirrel and chipmunk can be a little bit tricky, but pretty sure. And then I will add the sentiment. This paper from Paper Rose is a little slick, and so I do find it is a little better to use liquid glue with it, especially for attaching smaller things like sentiment strips. So something to keep in mind. I don't, depending on what kind of, oh, I was supposed to cut that first. Oh no, okay. That's okay. I always have like a scissor right next to me, so I don't want all that glue to dry. And thinking each card, I thought individually about the placement, like where I wanted to put it in proportion to the animals, because if there was an animal peeking out on the bottom, I wanted to make sure that like I didn't cover things in an awkward way. So here are the 12 cards that I have completed. If you find this kind of card making interesting, I have a lot of free templates on jesscrafts.com. I have many, many videos sharing how I do these kind of things with 12x12, 6x6, 6x8 paper for A2 cards, 5x7 cards, slimline cards, etc. And if you are interested in purchasing a bulk amount of templates, this video will be shared on Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving in the US. And so I'll be having a sale. I know it's a fun day for sales. And so I'll have a sale in the Etsy shop. And I want to say that I hope everyone who celebrated in the US had a wonderful Thanksgiving. I know other people in Canada, they celebrated the month before, but just I hope that everyone is having a lovely holiday season. If you found this video helpful, here's another video where you can find more ideas for enjoying your crafty time and supplies. Let me know you like this video with a share to your crafty community. Subscribe and click the bell so you don't miss the next template or tutorial, and check the video description for product links. See you in the next video.